Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Elseworlds Exchange. I'm Sal.
And I'm Joel.
Hey, happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday to the show. It's our second year anniversary, which I looked this up before we started. Traditionally, it's the cotton anniversary, so I think everyone's got to get us t-shirts, but it's also the China anniversary, so everyone can get us like mugs and stuff.
Oh, interesting. Well, it's really fortuitous that it is the cotton anniversary because the ComicPOP t-shirt store is on sale right now until Sunday, and if you go down into the description box in the first line, you will find a direct link to the ComicPOP shop. You can get yourself a fine t-shirt that features the brand of ComicPOP. We're still developing. We're thinking about doing a potential Elseworlds Exchange shirt, but in the meantime...
Oh, I like that. I was going to say, speaking of which, if your store's on sale, then that means the Comic Multiverse store is also on sale. Check that out. Matt's been working hard on designs.
Exactly. We don't have an Elseworlds logo, so there's no shirt yet, but...
oh, shit. Well, that's got to be our year 3 goal, right? Work toward.
Yeah, exactly. A third, or a logo for the third thing. Before we actually delve into our retrospective and kind of self-congratulatory episode where we just celebrate having reached 2 years of this show, I wanted to do a quick shout out on a couple of items. The first of which we just did, which was the t-shirt sale, which is on, or the t-shirt store was on sale right now. Boom, you can check that out. Go pick yourself up a fine shirt. And I like them, so I'm shilling for them. Wouldn't do it if I didn't actually wear their shirts, which I do. The other thing is that Tiffany and I will be at the Baltimore Comic-Con on Friday. You'll be able to meet me and Tiffany on Saturday. I'll be able to meet just me. Tiffany has to leave early, so it's going to be the two of us at Baltimore Comic-Con next weekend. So hopefully, if you're in the Baltimore Inner Harbor area, stop on by, and we'd love to meet you. I'm basically going because Frank Miller is going to be there, and I don't know how many opportunities I'm going to have yet, so I'm going to go into it now.
That's true.
So yeah, we're going to be at Baltimore Comic-Con. Also in the description box below this video, if you are interested in carrying on this conversation after the show is over, you can go on over to the Discord and ComicPOP and hang out with us there, or at least hang out with like-minded individuals like yourselves who dig this kind of thing. So in the description box below this video, right next to the TeePublic store link, you'll also find an invite to the Discord. Go check that out and join up. Would be great. By the way, somebody in the chat also mentioned that they've met Frank Miller. I met somebody at Fan Expo with you a couple weeks ago, and they also mentioned that they met Frank Miller and that he was totally cool.
That's
and very,
nice.
very friendly. I'm looking forward to that.
That's good to hear.
The other thing I wanted to mention is, of course, if you like this show and you like it only in audio format, but you don't know where to go to get it, first of all, if you have an iDevice, like an Apple product, you can find us on iTunes. It's just called Elseworlds Exchange. Go find it there. You can also, however, go over to the Podbean website, which is just comicpop.podbean.com. Swing on over there, and you can find every episode of the Elseworlds Exchange, plus a few extra items. Any long-form, discussion-based show that we've done in the last year on ComicPOP is over there. So just go find that and download it and check it out.
All manner of audio goodness.
That's right. You can find all kinds of ComicPOP-y audio goodness, plus a couple commentaries as well. And finally, the last thing I want to mention before we get it started is I want to give a quick shout-out to our third host to this show who can't be here. She's very busy, but she's an amazing support. Without her, I don't exist. It's Tiffany from ComicPOP. I want to thank her personally and specifically for being the rock of ComicPOP and making this damn thing work. And more importantly, when Joel's not available or if we ever need to do like a really, really in-depth discussion and we're going to have a lot of conversations about some Tiffany-centric episodes, they would not exist without Tiffany's insight, and I want to thank her for that because without her, none of this happens. She is the driving force behind a lot of the stuff we do, even if she doesn't take credit for it.
She's the rock of the pull as well. She's revolutionized that show and given me another outlet every Thursday around this time.
Literally, the show, neither show would exist because the way that Joel and I and our schedules are concerned, the poll would have been dead long ago, and the Elseworlds Exchange, we would have lost some of our greatest conversations without her. So she is amazing and super helpful, and she is just the greatest. So I want to thank her. And if you have a chance, go on to Twitter and tweet at @TheRealZoobs and just show her how you feel. Tell her you think she's great because she really is, and it's always nice to hear.
Just surprise her with praise. Just hop out. You're great.
Yeah. By the way, I don't want to skip out on Getting Arts with the Lobster, who also jumped into the super chat again and said, remember to turn the shirts inside out and save the printing.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. I mentioned that. Yeah, if you're a college student or in high school and you have to do your own laundry, or if you're just a regular old adult and have to do your own laundry, number one, I'm sorry, I'm there with you. And number two, if you find that your screen printed shirts are getting kind of worn a little fast, you might be not doing it properly. And the trick to do that is just turn it inside out, throw it into the laundry that way. It'll save your thing and it'll still clean the shirt, even if you got that luster stain on it. So,
I learned that the hard way. I got a Nightwing shirt that got absolutely mangled and everything because I didn't remember to turn it inside out.
In high school, when we didn't have access to like internet-based products that weren't like sketchy or scary to find, the only outlet I had to get screen printed shirts was Hot Topic.
There you go.
God damn, are those so cheap and flimsy and crappy?
They
And
kind of are.
they were basically just black t-shirts after like 3 weeks worth of washings. And man, did I not know to turn them inside out, I'll tell you that. By the way, Mr. Giggles in the Super Chat, Tiff is the Dr. Manhattan of the Weekly Pull and the Elseworlds Exchange.
That's fair. She is the blue hand at the beginning of creation.
It's true. And let me tell you, like, speaking of the shirt thing, it's the worst when you spend, like, $20, $25 on a t-shirt.
And you will spend no less than $20 or $25 for like an actual official licensed tee.
It's true. Unless, of course, you want to stop by the ComicPOP t-shirt store over in the description box below this video, in which case all shirts right now are $14.
$14.
Anyway, let's get into the show. We're going to be doing a retrospective on this show specifically and just talking about some of our favorites and just in general gabbing about ourselves. So
think of it as behind-the-scenes commentary. This is us going back and, doing a retrospective.
Exactly. By the way, Mod King Moby also mentions Tiffany does a great job on all the shows. She has to put up with me. That's not easy. I agree, Moby. That's true. Good call. But yes, welcome, Elseworlds. We had a great term for people who like the Elseworlds Exchange.
Exchangers?
I thought it was Explorers. Elseworlds Explorers.
That's cool, too. Someone in the chat, I think it was Nimrod Canada, who said Exchangers, and then they joked there where it's like, really, it took us 2 years and we haven't thought of a name yet for our fan base?
Exactly. No, I liked Elseworlds Explorers. I do like Exchangers. I'll take either one because some people in ComicPOP's fan base call themselves poppers, and some people call themselves the population. So
also,
I take
two good ones.
But I'll take it all. So let's do it up. Okay, first, before we actually get into specific episodes, I want to look back and say that while Joel has been the mainstay host, he's been like the main co-host on this show, we have had some very special, prominent guest hosts on this show.
It's true.
Not including the lovely and talented Tiffany. So I wanted to give a quick shout out to a couple of those special hosts who have dropped in on the infrequency and made the show possible. Can you believe that Mr. Sunday Movies came by the show one time and actually jumped into a conversation about summer blockbusters?
That's a solid episode. I listened back to that when we were all really on our friggin' A game on that one.
We were. By the way, Duncan Watson in the Super Chat, I just want to say that your channel is my all-time favorite. The whole gang, the guests, and the community have always been incredibly friendly. I agree with you, my friend. Thank you so much for saying so. We have the greatest... I've said it before, and I don't mince words. We have the best community online, so thank you for that, man. By the way, so Mr. Sunday, freaking awesome. And we've been working with him. I've been talking to him directly through Twitter, just trying to coordinate some reappearance. Either on either show, either on this show or on The Pull as well. And
he's a busy man. He's a hard goat to nail down.
He is busy. He just appeared and in the physical on Screen Junkies not too long ago.
No, I have to track that down.
You can actually see Mr. Sunday without his goat form. I think the dude just had to give up the goat, if you will, and just go
Tish.
Listen, if you want to be on the show, you got to be here physically. And by the way, dude is a handsome fella. It wasn't like he was the Elephant Man. It looked really great.
It's funny. There were so many like urban legends surrounding why he never showed his face. Where it's like, is he like in witness protection or something? Can he legally not show his face?
My theory was always just like, dude didn't want to get harassed at the grocery store. He's already got like an inescapable voice. So I can imagine if he also made his face available, that's the way to do it. But so Mr. Sunday rocks. Even Rob from Comics Explained stopped by very early on the show. He came in. And that was super fun. I also wanted to say that we also had a visit from NerdSync, from Scott.
Yes,
from NerdSync.
that was another really good episode talking about Civil War 1 and 2 and, what it meant to the greater comic scene. I liked that one.
That was right before Civil War 2 came out, I think. We were just talking about the phenomenon and whether it could actually be any good or not. It was a really great chat.
Scott, it was, and then we read Civil War 2.
Yeah. Scott brings the brains to the outfit. I'll tell you that.
Indeed, that was a classy episode. We classed it up in that one.
It's true. We also had Jason Inman of Jowin and DC All Access come by. He wanted to talk. He's actually talked about it a couple times. He wanted to talk about comic book delays because I think he had a theory about like how to fix them. And the other episode that he did was about animated series pitches.
Yes.
Which was pretty awesome.
Which we've done that a couple times now. We've revisited that one.
It's true, yeah. But yeah, it was great having Jason on. It's always great to have Jason on. And by the way, not the last time you'll see him again. He'll be back sooner than you think. In addition to those who make their respective franchises work, actually Victoria Robinson was on the show to talk about her favorite thing in the world, which was Robins, and that was a really fun episode.
Which is funny because I had been pitching sidekicks for the longest time, and then I saw you guys did a Robin episode. I'm like, oh, does that mean we're not going to do sidekicks?
We can talk about sidekicks. But
I know we can.
Literally, it would just be about that. Doing a Robin show was great because it also omitted the need to just focus on the Robins.
That's true.
But that was really fun. That was a great insight, and I was really glad to get her on there because I really dig Ashley's vibe. I think she's got a lot of great insights. Also
a nice person.
I've been meaning to get this dude on anything we've done for the last 5 years or more because he was one of my first interviews when I got into YouTubing at all before we were actually ComicPOP, and that's Brad Geiger.
Yes.
Brad Geiger from Evil Inc., the webcomic, and from webcomics in general. Dude is so friendly and so funny, and he's got just a veritable wellspring of knowledge and experience to bring to the table. And he brought that with his Dick and Tits comic, or rather his initiative on Patreon, which is going strong. It's Evil Inc. After Dark, and we talked about that. That was the first video, by the way, that was demonetized on ComicPOP.
Really? That's okay, because we were all hit pretty hard by that. They hit me for weird ones, but I can understand why they went after that one.
No, they hit us. The only video that was hit during the recent Adpocalypse was our most recent. Well, the one before our Secret Empire Off the Rack episode, which was a mistake, and about 6 hours later it was rectified and removed. But no, I think it's just because we put NSFW in the tags of the episode. If I remove them, I'll bet people will talk about it again.
They got my Injustice video and a Green Arrow comic I did 3 years ago, and I'm like, what the fuck?
That's weird. But yeah. But also, and finally, I think this is the last one, and if I've forgotten anybody, I do apologize, and Joel, I hope you'll rectify it, because all the guests we've had have been really, really super supportive, and they did it for no pay. So.
No. The Bard. You had the Bard on a couple times.
And that's the last one I want to mention. We had the Bard from Bardic Broadcasts. If you're not familiar with the Bard, just type in Hero Quest into YouTube, and you'll find why Hero Quest is so great.
You know what was great about that show? That was one of the shows that I wasn't on, but I enjoyed watching because you were talking about D&D, which is something that I had just recently gotten into. I'm like, oh shit, this is educational. Shit, I should write this down.
Dude is just a college professor wrapped in a dwarf's body. He is the man. I love the Bard. We are actually developing an episode of Elseworlds, I think, working on Friday the 13th. He wants to talk about just Friday the 13th. If that is an episode you guys would want to watch, we'll definitely jump into it. He's been doing a lot of research on that, and we'll one day make that work. But,
it's super fascinating. I loved that documentary they did. His name was Jason, and they go through everyone in order.
Yeah, they did kind of like a marathon on Sci-Fi not too long ago. And Tiffany and I wound up watching 4 of them, and I'm like, oh shit, they really kind of lose steam after a couple of them.
They do. That's, that's true of a lot of horror franchises, but especially of that one. It's wow, you just go up and down in quality, don't you?
It's true. Super Manning in the Super Chat also wanted to say, happy anniversary, Dynamic Duo. Keep on keeping on. Will do, my friend. And Comic Book Fan 111 just reminded me about the episode we did with Sam freaking Basher of Only Stupid Answers and SourceFed fame. Thank you for reminding me. We'd also talked to Sam Basher just about Superman Legacy, just about that issue, I think. That was just the conversation. awesome to have Sam on the show. I love Sam. He's so friendly and so boyish and adorable. It's just
I've only got to work with him a couple times, but I've enjoyed every time I have.
He is easily the most professional YouTuber I've ever met outside of Jason Inman, I think. By the way, Joel reminded me, another Joel, not you, Joel. But they were like, Max Landis episode? I'm like, yeah.
We wish.
Yeah, shoot him a tweet and be like, yo, Max, come on there. And I was just reminded, thank you so much, Greg Weissman from Gargoyles fame.
That's right.
Came on, and we talked about Gargoyles. If you have not gone back into the archives of Elseworlds, by the way, 2 years worth of shows, there's a lot of really, really solid conversations. And I think one of the really like big benefits of that was being like, let's just talk about this one thing.
It's true.
Just dedicate it. And it kind of reminded me of like back issues where I'm like, hey, let's take this one book and just talk about it for an hour. And it's funny how I love that format. I love my show so much. Not to get too like pat on my back, but like I love back issues because like where else are you gonna find three people analytically diving into a book that like maybe like a tenth of the populace has read, or maybe that like most of the comic book going populace has read but also doesn't really like get a chance to talk about. You know, like where else are you gonna talk about like Hulk versus Batman for an hour?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. But
not to get too sappy, but I liked how organic, it was when the show just started, where it's like you and I had worked together, we had kind of dug where each other was coming from. And then just what blossomed as like a Twitter discussion about Star Wars was just like, hey, let's fucking record this. This is a show we're doing. Let's get paid for this or try to.
No, this show literally just came from like, man, we do talk a lot. And I think the weekly poll would just end and we just keep going. And I'm like, oh, no. We got to fucking record this shit and make it actually work.
Yeah.
By the way, Adrian in the super chat says, congratulations on 2-year anniversary. I really enjoy both your channels and love listening to you guys talk comics together. This definitely is my favorite podcast. Thank you. That's really nice to hear. There are 1 million podcasts. For you to say that's your favorite means the world to us. Thank you so much, man. Yeah, the show has organically blossomed into something that I think is even very different from where it started. Like when we first started, we were like, let's talk about anything. I think it's funny. Our first episode, Star Wars and sci-fi, kind of directionless.
Absolutely.
We were like, I guess like because new Star Wars is coming out, Force Awakens was just about to come out, and we had no idea what to expect. We were like, I guess we'll talk about that and like how it looks against the framework of general sci-fi. And then we were like, okay, no, we should just do one topic and just hash that out.
Exactly. And then even to the point where later on it's like, hey, we talk about like fun and games topics. We talk about stuff we like and everything. Let's actually throw a couple serious topics in there. Like we talked about the current state of YouTube and what it meant to us to be YouTubers. And we did like an episode on inspiration and what inspires us and where, good ideas come from and everything.
It's true. I think because we gained favor with the audience by actually making shit they want to hear, like by talking about things and topics that either are relevant to them or aren't, but they had some kind of passing or tertiary interest in. Allowed us to gain favor by being like, let's talk about like our own feelings and our own thoughts on on life itself and so forth. And that, but it also generated some of the strongest episodes of our show.
I think so too. It lets the audience feel like they know us and we know them.
And I think it's more than they feel like it. Like they do. There's no way they can't be aware of our feelings on certain subjects or like predict what we're going to say or what our opinion's going to be on a particular issue. Although it's nice to like have confirmation on it instead of just
Indeed.
By the way, Neo Gecko 815 in the super chat says, "You guys rock. Here's to more years to come." Thank you.
Aw, thank you, sir.
But yeah, so let's look back on some. We also we tried to do a couple things that didn't work out that we just didn't bother to do again.
Yeah.
So we did one topic. We'll hash that out. That seems to be kind of the main underline factor to the show. But in one episode, I remember we did like a whole season 2 of Daredevil roundup.
Oh yes, that's right. Which I actually pitched just recently. It's like, hey, we should talk about Netflix Phase 1 now that it's officially done and over with.
Yeah, I think that's worth a revisit. But I don't know if we're gonna do any more spoiler casts anymore.
Yeah.
At least not on a full show.
It's also like, we do spoiler casts on other shows that we're a part of.
Exactly.
We can only say the same thing so many times.
Yeah, no, it's true. I completely agree with you there.
Yeah.
It's funny, we've done some shows that are almost like, oh crap, I forgot, Ben was on an episode as well. We did a whole episode where Ben and Tiffany did a show.
That's
where
right.
it was favorite horror sci-fi movies, and even Danielle in the chat right now was on an episode where she and Tiffany talked about video games.
That's right. Also, there was a time, wasn't it, when you and I were away or couldn't do it, and it was Tiffany and Sammy were in an episode together.
Shit, I forgot about that. Sammy Reed's no longer of YouTube, and Tiffany did talk about it. And man, that was a good one. That was about Batman vs Superman and
mythology.
Mythology, yeah. What a great chat. That was man. We had such plans for Sammy. It's too bad she had to go.
Oops.
But it was so great.
Hey, she's out there being a real hero right now. She's helping rebuild houses after the hurricane and shit.
Seriously, I guess talking about funny books kind of pales in comparison to like fishing people out of houses and rebuilding them for them.
Like actually doing good heroic work. Good on you, Sammy, wherever you are. Way to live the comic dream.
Precisely. But yeah, no, I'd love to see more of those. But yeah, so okay, let's talk about what's another item from our show you wanted to talk about?
Here, I got the whole playlist in front of me, which
I'm
you
looking
have
at it too.
which you have very wonderfully kept together and very much up to date. That's always good.
Oh, thank you.
We got to talk about video stores. That was a fun one in the early days where it's like, hey, let's just talk about some shit that's not around anymore. Let's, wax nostalgic for a minute.
Exactly. That one, I think it's one of our lowest viewed episodes.
I think it is too. That and like favorite comedians are like, you know what, this one's just for us, everyone. This is just stuff we like and stuff we want to talk about.
Comedians made me think like maybe we should stay in the wheelhouse of nerddom.
Yeah, let us not stray too far here.
Yeah, people were pretty pissed about that one too because they were like, you didn't mention blah blah blah, and I'm like, no man,
we only had 10 and we only had an hour to do
it's
so.
2 hours long, like give me a break. Yeah, no,
we did our favorite movies of 2015. I think we should do that too, like year-end wrap-ups. Like I pitched an idea for this year, like around Christmas time, we should do our favorite things of 2017, not just movies, but just what were our favorite things that we got into in 2017.
I'd sooner do that one than favorite movies, just because I don't see a lot of them anymore. So yeah, but definitely like just some of the favorite. Well, you mean like my favorite ice cream store? Like,
yeah, well, even that, or just like, hey, here's a show I found, or here's a web series I found, or here's like a comic I went back and read that I really enjoyed.
That's true, yeah. But I don't think we're gonna stray too far from the nerd wheelhouse anymore.
Yeah.
I think we did that. We tried it because this was like where we were like, okay, we're gonna do like more of a generic, like an actual podcast, where we're just gonna trade on our names and just do whatever and. Nah, people don't really fucking want to hear about
this. Was the experimentation era for sure.
Exactly. And I think that we can stray every once in a while. We can talk about movies and specific stuff about movies, and we can talk about comics and things like that. But like, I don't know if we're gonna do our favorite candy bars.
Damn it. I had a whole bunch of jokes planned for the candy bar episode. That's not going to happen. It's funny, back when like La La Land was getting like all the award buzz and everything, and it seemed like musicals were back for a second. There was that Flash Supergirl musical.
Oh, yeah.
I pitched that idea to her. It's like, yeah, let's talk about musicals.
Yeah, it would literally just be the Little Shop of Horrors episode where I just talk about how much I love that fucking musical.
That one's pretty good. Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah, I like the funny thing is for me, I'm like, does Cats count? I don't want to talk about Cats.
Because once you cross that line,
exactly.
There's no coming back from that. Well, we discovered we have a whole other audience we didn't know about.
Yeah. I'm surprised that webcomics never really took off. By the way, are there any episodes that like you're like, why didn't that take off? I'm surprised. There's a couple of them for me.
I feel smarter for doing the webcomics episode because like I had never heard of like Control-Alt-Delete and I didn't know about Tim Buckley, and I followed that one down the rabbit hole for much enjoyment.
That is easy to do, by the way. If you don't know about that or anything like that, it goes further and further. It's ugh. Hey, you know what I really liked though? One of the things, one thing that never took off was our Darker Image episode, where we just Tiff and I talk about where we just kind of delve into a book. Like, hey, let's take the format of the show and then just go like, let's talk about this one book and how like weird it is. Didn't perform.
You think because it was too much like back issues?
I think maybe. I think it was more like it was a niche book to begin with, and then there was really just like, hey, let's. Yeah, it was very back issues-y. but with only one person, and it was kind of like, eh.
That was also an episode that I wasn't on, but I remember watching. I'm like, hey, I got jokes to make about Darker Image.
Right.
It's always in every long box of like 90% off comics.
It really,
you always
it's everywhere. And I remember, like, as a kid, finding Darker Image and being like, yes, I finally have the first appearance of the Max, and then being like, and then years later, like literally the other day, going to Comic Fortress and finding the first 7 issues of the Max just sitting there, plus Max 1/2, which a fan was amazing enough to send me.
Oh.
So I'm like, I don't have to ever worry about this again. Like, thanks. I guess the Max is dead. Like, I guess no one gives a shit, including Sam Keith, but doesn't keep Sam Keith from charging like $500 for a fucking Max print that has a little sketch of the Max on it. Man, by the way, just a really quick aside, Sam Keith, Tiffany really hates his art, and I really like it when he's trying to like fit in with comicdom. Like,
it's an acquired taste.
His first 6 issues of the Max, I'm like, this is awesome. And then like when he's like, okay, I've got them now, I can draw like that, like I'm a spaz. Like, oh no. But that said, he did an appearance at like a Boston con about a year ago, and I was like, well, if he's doing that, he might start doing other shows. Nope. That was the last time. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh well.
You know, I wouldn't say kill that concept just yet. I pitched you something in New York I pitched you something in Toronto that I think we might be able to resurrect that concept of like, let's take a comic from like a 90% off long box or a couple and do something with it.
I feel like a certain like other YouTube channel would be like, hey.
Would they though? They don't own that concept.
Well,
We're doing something.
Here's the thing: is that like they would never know about it. The fact is,
exactly.
Vampire Media doesn't know we exist in any capacity.
Right.
But I think that there's a big crossover of fandom from us and them. I feel like somebody be like, "Yo, they're doing your show."
I'm not saying do it every week. I'm just saying do it every once in a while as a fun thing.
I'm not saying we're gonna start doing it all the time. The problem is that they don't do it every time. Like they do it every like 6 months or whatever.
That's true. I guess so. Once you put it that way.
But I do like. Listen, the concept is still strong, and it's like, no, that could work. I still think it would work. It's just like I would.
Do we want to invite that drama into our lives?
No.
Never.
We'll lose. The Red Samurai in the Super Chat says, happy anniversary. Quick question. Has Joel ever heard of Justice League Mortal?
Yes.
And Sal, have any quick... And do you have any quick thoughts about it? Maybe make it a future Elseworlds exchange.
I don't know. Do you?
I mean, like... It was a neat idea. It died.
That's the one where they lose all their powers, right?
I thought they were talking about the movie, the George Romero movie, but...
Oh, yeah, do you mean the comic or the movie? Because there's 2 that are Justice League Mortal.
Yeah, I think he's talking about the movie.
Oh, okay.
By the way, I've seen since we started, a lot of people suggesting different guests for the show. I'm going to do a quick thing at the end where I'm going to be like, shoot me your guest ideas, and then I'll just copy them all and put them in at the end.
There you go.
So save your idea, because I don't want to lose it, and I also don't want to lose our momentum of our conversation by grabbing them. So definitely hang on to that. But yeah, I remember when we remember the episode. I'm looking at this right now. Champions and Monster Men, where we just talked about comics.
That's right.
That's right. It was me. There's literally no one else was available. It was just me.
And you talked about what came out.
And I talked about what came out because I didn't want to have like a conversation with myself. So I just gave like a little mini off the rack where I just shared my thoughts. I really like the cover to that episode more than I like the episode itself.
It's a really nice cover.
Thank you. I made that myself.
You make all the covers, and they're all really nice.
I do make all the covers. The only cover I didn't make was actually Tiffany made a cover for us. It was supposed to be like our standard. This is like when let's see. It was called "Let's Fix Marvel Comics." That was the episode we did where you and I tried to fix Marvel Comics, and Tiffany made the cover for that one. That was from April of this year, and I was like, "We need better branding." Tiffany, get on that. And so Tiffany made a specific It was actually, she rolled out with the current off the rack thumbnail, and she made that one for Elseworlds, and ultimately it didn't. I didn't have the raw file, so I couldn't change the text, and then I was like, meh, I'll just go back to the way it was.
That was another really strong episode we did. I felt we really flexed our creative muscles in that one, and that also kicked off a new trend of us being like, hey, let's do thought exercise episodes. Let's show how smart we are and what we would do.
The thought exercise, I think, is our biggest bread and butter right now. I think that's like if the Elseworlds Exchange is ever going to change, shift, grow, or change, I think that's where it would head into a more like take a big idea. Actually, from my educational background, I remember that every lesson you have planned has to have an essential question where you ask like, the big idea, where it's like, what are they going to get from this lesson, and how are they going to answer this question? I thought it was major horseshit, and it was really stupid, and it was so self-aggrandizing, and so like, and I was like, if I were a kid, I would think this was such bullshit. If I were in high school and they made me answer an essential question about what the lesson was for this episode or for this class, I'd be like, fuck you, this is stupid. But I had to ask it in my own classes, and I try to tie it in. Like, I basically, if you ever want to give an insight into what I was like as a teacher, I treated every show or every class like a show, where it was like a podcast, or we just kind of had a full dialogue. Sometimes monologue, because I taught with a lot of kids who had no interest in conversation and were really confused by my enthusiasm and my insistence on conversations. They really didn't like that.
Why is this old man so into this shit?
Yeah, old man, screw you. That was like
old man in your businessman.
I did not wear a business suit. I hated teachers that wore a full suit. I was like, screw
Did you?
you. But I like the idea of basically taking that concept from school and being like, no, it's an essential question. Like where we have an essential question and we attempt to answer that essential question through the show. Because it also is a great way to get the chat involved, because then they attempt to answer the question.
Absolutely.
So boom, like I think that's the future of the Elseworlds Exchange is just basically having an essential question. You'll see them in kind of our biggest ones, like, is DC Rebirth an event? Which is more consumer-friendly, Marvel or DC? Is Marvel Studios overextending? More recent episodes. What if Disney ditched Marvel Comics was our most doom and gloom episode, certainly.
It sure was. We also tried our hands at commentaries a couple times. We did one for Batman Superman. We did one for Hulk Versus. We did a couple Christmas episodes.
It's true. I like doing those commentaries.
Me too.
There's a service called Rift TV.
Yes.
And that's probably where the future of those will go, because then it's actually way more easy to integrate like Netflix or viewers into it. So we'll probably.
Of course, you're a slave to whatever Netflix has on at the time.
Yeah, that's true. By the way, Will I Am Gold in the super chat says, "Did you guys do DC Elseworld pitches?" We did. Didn't we do like a full reboot for DC or a full?
We did some pitches for DC, but it was very impromptu. I was away at the time, and that was like 15 minutes before the show. It's like, hey, I want to do some DC pitches.
Yeah, I want to say that we didn't. We have never done. DC. We've never pitched Elseworlds ideas.
But that's a pretty solid idea. Let's tuck that one away.
Yeah, right. Also, like, we've never done a thing where we just talk about Elseworlds, like the concept of the Elseworlds books.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like ironic.
It is, right? That's like that. That's our back pocket in case of like no show idea, break glass.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh crap! We'll just talk about Elseworlds books. Boom.
Talk about Elseworlds on the Elseworlds while we Elseworlds. As far as commentaries go, we should try and do that Thor versus Hulk thing as we get closer to Ragnarok.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, because
it's also a solid one.
It's a solid movie, like / 2-part episode show, basically.
Mm-hmm. And the runtime is exactly the usual runtime of our podcast. So there you go.
Works for me. I dug the shit out of both those. I wish that was the future of Marvel's animation, but it just didn't happen. I want to just do a quick, just an honorable mention. I loved the creating an event episode. I know you weren't on it, but like it's still probably one of my favorites that is Joel-less.
Solid concept.
Because it integrated what the chat wanted to talk about, which is like, because it was funny. I was like, like we love talking about DC versus Marvel and Marvel DC crossovers, but like, I feel like most folk don't want, like, I feel like I felt or assumed at the time people were like, let's talk about like one particular thing, but no, everyone was like, just basically redo DC versus Marvel. And we're like, all right, that's where we're gonna start. We're gonna use two universes to try and like create books. Fine. And that resulted in one incredible fan actually drawing a Ghost Rider versus Flash cover image.
I saw that.
Shipped me the original pencils. I have it framed
Oh, wow.
in the break room. So it's an amazing image, and it like without that, the show is just even if that was the only thing that came out of the episode, it was worth it. But it's such a great two-parter where we just like jumped into it and created a whole fuckload of stuff. That was another one. I love when we get to be creative. Although I feel like I'm always concerned that people are like, I don't care what you want to make. Like,
I know, right? You always worry about being viewed as being like pretentious.
Exactly. Because here's the thing. I never want to come out and be like, the reason this sucks is because they didn't hire me.
Yeah, they didn't do it my way.
Done. That is you are no longer a critic, and you're basically just fanboying at that point.
You're being super entitled.
But that said, I mean, like, it is fun to create. Nobody doesn't like doing that. Everyone creates in some way, and if you have an audience and they want you to like throw ideas at them, then why not? So I think that's a hard line to skirt, but it's when we do it, we're very sensitive to it, which I think allows us to not be complete douchebags about it.
So we like to say. We also did a look back of superhero movies in 2016. That was actually pretty good. I think we could refine that concept for 2017 and almost do like a power ranking. Like, here's our power ranking for the year of superhero movies that came out.
We probably should do that more, because that makes a lot of sense. It's funny.
It also helps for us, too, because you and I don't do, like, list content on our own channel, so to bring that here to Elseworld is pretty smart.
That's true, yeah. No, I don't like listicles. I like the idea behind them, but I always find that the only people who make them that have any major views are people who have no stake or interest or actual background in comics in any way.
Exactly.
So it's just they just Googled the lists that they wanted to make and then made a hodgepodge of them, or just copied one.
Yep,
that makes me angry. I'm just like, what a waste! What a waste! No, if we do lists, it's like here's a recommended reading list. It's like make it practical, make it useful.
Yeah.
Man, are there any episodes that we made where you went, surely this will be the one, like the one that will either get the attention of someone or blow us up in some capacity?
Right.
Because by the way, it still hasn't happened. So
No, there hasn't been like some huge breakthrough. I've been very happy about everything we've gotten so far and all the people who have viewed and enjoyed. But no, none of our shit's gone viral yet.
No. By the way, Red Samurai in the Super Chat says, any hints for a Halloween back issues? Also, will Ghostbuster Tiffany return? And is Ethan a Black Lantern? And what state is Sal in? Ghost Wolfman? Yeah, that's all part of the Little House Christmas Spectacular universe. So if you ever, like, if you're wondering, like, we kind of blur the line a little bit, but that's, I don't know about that. And
it's Treehouse of Horror rules.
It is, but it will, if Treehouse of Horror took place in its own pocket universe. So, like, there is a linear logic to it, but, like, in the world where Ethan can command a Black Lantern ring and I turn into a werewolf, Ben also went into space for a year and, like, dubiously had sex with a goblin creature. So, like, there's a lot of different stuff going on there. But I can't answer your questions right off the bat, but I can tell you that Halloween back issues will be a thing. Like, we will do a Halloween-centric episode.
That's actually a good idea, mentioning Treehouse of Horror. I was thinking what our Halloween episode should be this year for Elseworlds. Maybe we should look at Treehouse of Horror, because it lets us talk about Simpsons again.
It's true. Did we ever do a Halloween episode?
No, we've kicked around the idea of it a couple times, but I don't think we ever actually did it. I think, like, it was something where it's like, should we do our favorite horror movies? Should we do, like, our favorite movie monster? Should we, like, look at a whole franchise or something? But no, I think we kicked around ideas. I don't think we ever ended up doing that.
I agree. No, we have never done a Halloween. We've done 2 Christmas ones or holiday ones. One was like a holiday commentary. The other one was where we talked about holiday specials themselves.
Hell, we did 2 Valentine's Day ones. We did superhero power couples, and then the next year we did the most toxic comic book relationships.
It's true. Those lend themselves. I loved doing that. I like when we theme the episodes, especially if they work seamlessly. By the way, Aldo Morgan says, love you guys. Did you like the new Rick and Morty episode? I think outside of the first episode, I think it's the best one of the season.
It was really good. Also, I love, too, the theme song they use for the Citadel is In the City, the ending theme song from The Warriors.
Nice. It's also from the ending episode. It's the same ending song from the episode with Evil Morty in it.
Yes. Or no. That's No, I mean like the one where they actually go to the Citadel and they sing in the city. That's from the Warriors.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. The ooh,
yeah,
ooh, the creepy theme. I know that one.
I love that theme. By the way, here's another great idea that Joel had that we do on Elseworlds: our Versus series.
Yeah, we haven't done one in a bit.
No, we haven't, and we should because those are fun. Like, and
We're about
and people
overdue.
like them.
Should we maybe for the third one, should we maybe like expand it beyond comic books and just do geek culture in general? Like who would win in a fight, He-Man or the Highlander?
Yeah, I'd do that. I think I could expand it like that. Like, crap. I'm trying to think of like a really, really smart, like undefeatable scientist type character because I'm like, who would like Rick versus so and so? But I can't.
Oh yeah.
By the way, Tevye Smolka says, I have an idea. How about a DC Futures End discussion? No, we're never going to do that. So thank you for the suggestion.
I fucking read the whole thing, reviewed every issue individually, and those videos are all gone now to the winds of time, YouTube, and my old outfit, and that's fine.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Episodes. Yeah, somebody, some amazing, incredible person sent me all the trades for Futures End. So I can read it from beginning to end, and I haven't.
But why would you?
But why would I do that? Well, for back issues, but like, I actually was in the middle of reading 52, and I'm like, this is better. This is more fun than probably reading Futures End. I'm sure Futures End I can skip a lot more. 52 is really dense. There's a lot going on.
You know, my fear, my like nightmare scenario is, you know, when I come out to visit you guys this year for New York Comic Con, that you're just gonna spring that on me. Hey, Joel, guess what? Futures End.
Yeah, no, you've read it. I can't talk to you about Futures End. You've read it already, unless you want to host it and you explain Futures End.
That means I don't
have to do it. Then I have to read it. I can just be like,
that means I'd either have to go back and reread it or just go from memory.
That's a little bit of both as to how back issues happens.
There you go. All right, so you see, this fucking bullshit was going on at this time. They were testing the waters of fusion, Earth 2 and Earth 1. It was just a goddamn bad idea.
Yeah, it was. We read the 0 issue for Off the Rack, and we went, okay, never again. And man, am I glad I didn't do that. I remember my comic book shop at the time got all the holographic covers. It got 50 of the holographic covers per holographic cover.
Damn it.
And I was like, no. And then he got 5 long boxes full of holographic covers.
That no one will ever want.
No. And they're still like, they're not $1. But yeah. By the way, I found it was Let's Run DC Comics. That was our pitch.
There you go.
That was where we're like, let's just pitch all these books for DC Comics.
Another fun one we did that Tiff was on was, of course, the Avatar show.
The Avatar episode, where we just talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender and how great it was.
Which people are still clamoring for the sequel episode. When are you going to talk about Legend of Korra? I was pro Team Korra for so long and so pro pushing this idea. It's been so long since I've watched it now, I would have to go back and rewatch the 4 seasons.
Yeah, I have to go back. I'll have to actually watch I think I liked the first season of Korra, and then the second season,
was the best.
I'm like, what's happening? And then the third season, I'm like, fuck this show. Just stop.
The first season was the best one. As someone who likes the show, I can very easily say the first one was probably the best.
You know, the problem is technology. You've ruined it. It's like them doing a sequel to Lord of the Rings, where there's no magical creatures, and they're just trying to build a democracy. Pass. Not fun. I don't want to read a fantasy story where they invent the telephone.
It's funny. You know,
that sucks.
If we were to do the Korra episode, we probably should have done it like 2 or 3 weeks ago, because that's when the sequel comic came out.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I did read the sequel comic, and yeah, it feels like a very organic continuation where it's like literally Korra going around and coming out to her friends and family.
Yeah, no, I heard about that. Good for
and
her.
I'm like, well, this is solid. This is interesting. I'm like, oh yeah, this is also stuff you could probably never do on Nickelodeon, eh?
Yeah. The problem is Korra is so insufferable and such a Mary Sue. I can't get involved. Like, I just can't. She's so terrible.
See, I like Korra, but that really is the thing about whether or not you like Legend of Korra. You really have to like Korra. Unlike in Avatar, I didn't like Aang right away. I thought he was a bit of a shit, but every character around him was so fascinating and so interesting. You were able to really, you know, dig it for all these other characters. He kind of had like a Luke Skywalker, Harry Potter thing going on, where it's like, look, you don't have to like the main character 100%. Look at this crazy world and look at all these other characters.
Well, the thing is, like, Aang actually develops, and they weren't afraid to make him kind of unlikable.
It's true. They did many a times.
And he's a kid who's learning, like he's growing. I get it. Korra doesn't learn, grow, or change in any way. She's Korra here, and then she's Korra there. As I understand, it's the same thing with Moana, where it's like, oh, a strong, independent woman turns into a strong, independent woman.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you were already fully formed. Well, that's probably why the first season's the strongest one, because she actually goes through a whole lot of character development. They put what is supposed to be an end on it, and they're like, oh, we got to do 4 more of these, huh?
Yeah.
Well, we kind of already finished her arc, though, so...
Yeah, so let's have her torch her mythos and also ruin the spirit world.
Well, they also beat her down a little bit, and she's got to build herself back up. And hey,
I don't care.
I know, but she's not. She's not as bad as the Mako character, though.
Mako is like what an offensive tribute
I
to
know.
a great man.
A great man to make probably the worst character in the entire series
If they
named
made him a
after
villain,
him.
at least then it'd been interesting, but no. By the way, Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, here's the funny thing about Mako. There's a moment where you think they might actually redeem him by having him heroically sacrifice himself at the end, but no, they wuss out on that. It's like, come on.
By the way, Superdog Comic Blog says, congratulations on 2 terrific years. On Elseworlds, huge fan of your channels, love your views on the industry.
Thank
Guilty
you.
pleasures as far as comic runs go. Yeah, what are our... That's a great episode, but we could also talk about, like, what are some of our most guilty pleasures.
That's, put a pin in that. I got to think about that. That's a show right there.
Right? I actually asked Scott Snyder this last night while I was
saw that.
While I couldn't fall asleep. I'm like, guilty pleasure? Who said X-Force? And he's like, is that even a guilty pleasure, though? I'm like, not really. Cool.
I mean, it looks silly in comparison now.
Yeah. The art is a guilty... If you like that art, then that's a guilty pleasure. But, like, complaining about Nicias' writing is like, no, well, fair enough. But, what was it called? I said kind of like Batman Spawn was a little bit of a guilty pleasure, but it's horrible. Like, I don't really get much pleasure out of that book. The Batman Spawn one is just nothing's good about it. But the Spawn Batman one that Frank Miller wrote and drawn by McFarlane, the art is so good in it, and it's so obnoxious how great it is to see McFarlane at the height of his talent drawing Batman, and seeing Spawn and Batman like hanging out was really cool to see. It's so cool. I have literally a poster I pulled out of a Wizard magazine. It's up in the office. I see it every day, and I'm like, looks cool.
That's good.
But yeah, I can't
another fun show. I was gonna say another fun show we did that I wish this one blew up more because I'm really proud of how this one turned out. Unsellable Comic Heroes.
We did that, yeah. The Unsellables. People got mad at us. They're like, "What do you mean Captain Marvel isn't or Shazam is unsellable?" I'm like, when was the last time you picked up his book?
He don't got one. He maybe have a movie coming, but maybe not.
Yeah, like
they cast the villain before they cast him.
Exactly. Oh man, we did an episode recently that people got really mad at us for, and I can't remember what it was called. I think it was the best comic book resurrections. No, it was the worst. It was the worst costumes.
Right.
People got really pissed because we couldn't put pictures in the video.
Oh.
I'm like, fuck you.
You're on the internet, man. Use Google. The Google is right next to you.
The problem is the format of the show, which is like it's mostly conversation based, and I don't have like a producer over there who can pull them up. Like if you were watching movie fights or anything on Screen Junkies, where they're like, pull it up, and then someone goes like, okay, and like it's just us, and it's just me running the show. So it's like I would have to like know what I was gonna say and what you were gonna say
before you said it,
and then pull them all up, and I think that loses spontaneity. I like the on the fly nature of the show.
Same, me too. And I also think that the fact that we're not putting in a bunch of video clips and a bunch of like pictures and everything is a good reason why this show has never gotten flagged for anything.
That's true. Yeah, like if it were flagged, the person reviewing it would just click on it, and be like, okay, it's these 2 guys, and then just skip ahead a couple times. Go, okay, just 2 guys, moving on. Like,
these 2 paunchy nerds with chin beards are talking about nerd shit. They're cool.
Yep. They didn't open the show with a curse, so I'm sure it's fine. Moving on.
I'm sure it's all right. Next one.
By the way, Joel J in the Super Chat says, happy anniversary, Elseworlds Exchange. You guys rock. So 2 years of Elseworlds Exchange. Number 1, we named this show immediately, and we've never looked back, and it was always a good idea.
Yeah, it was great. We had a list of names, and we just kind of put 2 and 2 together, and we're like, yep, that's the one.
It's easy to find. It's easy to remember. It's alliterative. It's when we do decide to finally get a logo, it will be using them in some way. It'll probably look like a superhero thing.
I was thinking of like a horizontal E, but then I'm like, no, that's too close to Enron.
Yeah, no, you can't. No.
Yeah, we don't want shirts that look like, one of the greatest failures of all time.
Right? No. That's like, it was fake and bullshit and it ruined things. Like, I don't want us to be like associated with that.
Yeah, let's not be that.
Yeah. But yeah, like the show itself, like the concept of the show, the idea behind making it, we covered that. We covered the name. It's been 2 years. Did you expect it to end at any point, or were you like, no, it's just like for me, it was second nature. I'm like, right, Elseworlds, I got to do another Elseworlds today. At no point was I like, oh shit, I think the show might be over.
Yeah, same here. I mean, it's probably one of the most comfortable I've ever been doing a show. Probably the only other show that's more comfortable is Comic Multiverse, and that's the one I run myself, so I just turn it on and it happens.
Right, and you've been doing it forever, and that's kind of like, that's been your thing overall as well. So
and I've been doing it even longer because my co-host Matt came from me from the other outfit.
Exactly. So basically, you've been doing the show for so many years.
It's exactly like, I think the longest thing between Blood Sweat Comics was the old show to Comic Multiverse now. I think there might have just been a 2-3 week break in between where I'm like, I don't even know if I want a podcast anymore. I want a podcast again.
Right. Yeah, no. I really do I like a lot of things about this show. Really quick before we jump into that. Will I Am Golden back in the super chat says, will Joel be on back issues? My friend, he's been on back issues already. If you have not watched it,
awesome episode.
RoboCop versus Terminator, written by Frank freaking Miller with art by Walt Simonson.
Oh,
if you haven't watched it, do yourself a favor. It's an amazing episode. I'm so happy we did it. And I'm hopeful
one of the best looking ones too, with one of the best production values.
I am hopeful we can do something like that again at New York Comic Con this year. We will see. I'm pretty confident we can do it, but once I say that, I know it won't probably happen. So we'll make it work. We have the studio also. That was the other thing. I wanted to use New York Comic Con as a cool backdrop, but like, we don't even need it. I have a cooler backdrop that I can manipulate.
You have your own comic convention.
Exactly. Every day I come in, I'm like, oh, I can look through the back issues and trades and look at all these cool posters. Every time I go into a comic book store, it's an opportunity for me to make my own comic book store. By the way, Keith One Shot in the Super Chat says, congrats on 2 years. Good luck on year 3. Hell yeah. Kite Man.
Damn right.
But yeah, like, I really like the format of this show. I like being able to like hash out a topic for about an hour, just forcing ourselves to like dedicate brain space to this one thing or to this one idea. But the thing that really gets me going, that I'm really like happy about, and is that like we have this one show that is a dedicated, like no questions asked, live connection with the audience.
Yep. Oh, yeah. And it's a total cooperative process, not only just between you and me, but between, the chat, too, that makes the show what it is as well, many a time.
Exactly. We can deliberately plug into the audience, and we can check in on how they're doing, and they can check in and see how we're doing. Like, there's no lull where, like, we just made a bunch of shows. Because we shoot, like 4 or 5 shows in a day, and then I cut them for the week, and I release them. But like, there's always this one day during the week where I jump in and I'm like, "Yo, everybody, we're here and we're alive," and like, and I look the same. I haven't been like locked in a box somewhere. Like, So yeah, I love this show for its ability to plug into the audience as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, we're coming towards the end of the hour. So are there any other like retrospective items you wanted to touch upon that this show has covered, or that really mean a lot to you?
I mean, I think we hit all the big ones there. I'm proud of all the work we've done. I think we've done some really interesting topics. I think we've covered some interesting ground. I guess moving forward, what are some stuff we would like to do in the future for year 3, and what are maybe some things we want to bring back? We said we should probably try and do some more commentaries again, because those are fun.
Absolutely.
We said we wanted to do more verses and maybe make that a little bigger. What about like retrospectives on franchise? I know we did one on Spider-Man, and then you did another one on the Nolan Batmans. What are some other like franchise retrospectives we could probably do?
We'll probably talk about X-Men.
That's right. Oh God, yeah. That's how did I not think of that? There's a lot. There's a lot of X-Men.
We could talk about we could even cover Lord of the Rings if we wanted to.
That'd be a fun one. Oh, I'm playing Shadows of Mordor again in preparation for Shadows of War. So yeah, that'd be fun.
Nice. We've never done Harry Potter in any way, and
we haven't.
I have some opinions on that.
Yeah, let's talk about that. It'll be interesting for you as someone who taught lot where it's like, yeah, what do you think of this, like, a European wizard school and its teaching practices?
I like how suspiciously un-American or no American references there are.
No. Even Rowling was like, there will be no Americans in this franchise, only British people and people from like Russia and France in the later books.
Which is fine, and it was cool. By the way, Heartless Fang in the Super Chat says, happy anniversary, you guys. Thanks for giving me another Comic Pop show to look forward to each week. Would a podcast on creating Marvel's version of Tower of Babel be a good topic for a show? Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, like, here's the thing. They do some, like, Marvel puts out books where it's like, Punisher kills the Marvel Universe, Wolverine versus the Marvel Universe. Like, they basically do a Tower. Deadpool's had basically 2 Tower of Babels.
It's true.
But they could easily do, like, they could do an in-continuity Tower of Babel, and you could do one with Daredevil, you could do one with Cap, you could do with basically Tower of Babel was basically Secret Empire.
They also did Shadowland, and it wasn't great. That was also a Tower of Babel-like thing.
Exactly. I could see Iron Man being the Tower. I could see Daredevil. There was one that I was really thinking of where I'm like, oh, that'd be a cool Tower of Babel type character, and I don't remember.
They teased his Tower of Babel in Superior Iron Man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he could definitely help take down like the Marvel, like the Avengers or whatever. It'd be interesting.
The world.
Yeah. But they could do a Punisher Tower of Babel. There's a lot of those at the core. So yeah, I mean, like, the question is, like, I guess we could probably hash out like who they are, like like, okay,
who are the potential world enders?
Exactly. World War Hulk is Tower of Babel.
There you go.
Master Terrence. But yeah, crap. Where were we?
There was another fun story out there. I think you've talked about it before. Acts of Vengeance, where it's just like all the Marvel supervillains got together and said, hey, let's trade heroes for the week and see how we do.
Yeah, great idea. Horrible
execution.
Just horrible. And by the way, they have the audacity.
We could do that for DC. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, an Acts of Vengeance for the DC universe. I would love to see that.
Joker shows up in Star City. Hey, Green Batman.
I would love to see that.
And like Green Arrow just can't deal with the Joker because it's like, well, I'm not crazy. I'm not bad. I don't know how he thinks.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, exactly.
I can't put myself into his shoes. Yeah. I'm not a criminal profiler.
Yeah. Well, Joker's traded with Batman a couple times. Like Joker's attacked Superman.
Yeah.
Where he's like, hey, I'll give this a try, and it's funny. I would like to see that though. I think it would work better if Joker either chose not to participate or was like, or kind of showed up at the end and was like, hey, I'm gonna fuck up your plans.
A story was I always had in my back pocket, one I always wish we could have talked about in depth, either on a video or in anything else. Salvation Run, that was a fun one.
I don't know that one.
So that's like right before one of the other big events. They blast all the supervillains off into space and they Lord of Flies up in a planet.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't remember that? That was like right after the Rogues killed Flash.
No, I don't remember that.
That was like right after they seemingly killed the Flash, and Amanda Waller and the Suicide Squad got them all together and shot them up into space.
Yeah.
And they had to like mess around a planet. What's funny is that it's basically War of Jokes and Riddles before War of Jokes and Riddles, because all the chaotic evil villains rally behind the Joker, and all the like chaotic neutral villains rally behind Lex Luthor, and they kind of have like a turf warfare thing. But in the middle of it, and this is my favorite moment in it, Vandal Savage is like, you're both fucking stupid, bye. He leaves, but then he takes like 7 of the most beautiful super villainesses. It's like, who wants to come with me and start our own society over on that next hill?
That's weird. Okay.
He's like, it's pretty crazy. And it's also the first part of like 3 stories that eventually lead to Secret Six, because it goes Salvation Run, Villains United, then the Secret Six miniseries, and then the Secret Six series.
Oh, okay. Now I understand why you're so dedicated to it, because it has something to do with Secret Six.
It does. That's where Deadshot and Bane meet each other and like actually talk shop, because Lex Luthor brings them on as like security, and that's why when like the Secret Six loses their New God member and they're like, shit, we need a new muscle guy, Floyd's like, hey, I know a dude.
Yeah, right.
Call him up.
He's literally all muscles. That's what he's made of. It's just that.
But he was quitting drugs at that time, and like, oh man.
Yeah. Oh crap. He's going through big.
He's going through the DT, seriously.
I have a question for you, Joel. If we could get one comic book creator on to talk about a subject, who would it be, and what would be the topic?
I mean, I think he's like maybe one of the hottest guys working today in the industry because like everything he writes, I love, and he knocks it all out of the park. Jason Aaron.
Really? Jason Aaron? And what would you want to talk to him about?
Dude, your Punisher run was awesome. You've been killing it on Thor for so many years now. You're going to be writing this new Marvel Legacy thing that's got to be a lot of pressure on you, man.
Interesting. Yeah, all right. I mean, and it would just be you talking about how great he is, or would there have to be some kind of specific thing? It has to be an Elseworlds Exchange episode. It can't be a Joel gets to meet Jason Aaron episode.
Oh, okay, shit. See, I thought we were doing this solely for fan appeal, where it's hey, who's a guy you want to track down?
It could be that as well, but you have to couch it in some kind of legitimate reason to talk to them.
Okay, well then in that case, Jim Shooter, get like his view on modern comics and where he thinks the future is.
Jim Shooter just talking about comics, or just literally if you just get him in a room and just say like, go.
It's true.
Oh,
see, I think that's a show that would write itself is the thing.
Yeah, I
don't think you and I would get to do much talking. We would just be sitting here all doe-eyed and listening to Jim Shooter.
Yeah. Oh man, I think I met Jim Shooter at a comic book store a couple of years ago. And he was just telling stories, and people were just like, "This is amazing." I think I had him sign my Secret Wars #8. That was nice. That was my like, okay, here you go. I don't know. I was like, sorry. And he goes, hey, I'm proud of it. Here you go.
Another idea for the show, potentially for the future in year 3, retrospectives on a certain run from a certain creator. Because I know you've kicked around the idea where it's like, will we ever do Punisher Max on back issues?
Yeah.
Would you be able to do it for the content? Would enough people be interested in it? If we moved it here to this show and just like, let's talk the Garth Ennis years on Punisher, from Marvel Knights to Max to all his miniseries to everything else. Do you think that would do better in a long-form podcast thing?
I mean, I think that would definitely be something. I mean, we did it with Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's run on Batman.
Exactly, and that was a good one. I wonder if we could do more of those.
Oh, we could do that. Yeah, absolutely. As far as getting creators on, I think I'd have to invite Scott Snyder to come on, and we could just talk about Batman.
Just bury the hatchet between him and you.
No, there's no hatchet to be buried, I don't think.
I know there's not.
But yeah, it would be great to have him on and just talk about comics. Yeah, I guess Dan Slott would be the most entertaining.
That would be fun. Yeah, he seems like a good guest. He seems like one of us.
Exactly. Although I've invited him personally, and he's said no. Aww. So that's never going to happen. But yeah, so let's see. We've talked about the future of the show. We got some great ideas about what concepts we want to do and where the show is going. And I got to tell you, like, it's been 2 years. Got no signs to stop it anytime soon.
No.
And so on a personal note, I want to thank you, Joel, for keeping this show alive and for making this show actually happen. Because without you, this show didn't exist. And really
thank you for helping fill my podcast addiction every week. If I'm on no less than 5 podcasts every week, I get really itchy and break out in hives.
Yeah, you're like Wolverine when it comes to teams.
Yeah, really.
So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna wrap up the show, but I'm gonna throw up the cover, and then I'm just gonna ask the chat to tell me what hosts you'd like to see join us on this show, or pop in as a guest. Potential guest co-host on this show, and
good idea.
Just but make them real, not dead people or the president or something. Just people you'd like to see appear on the show that would make sense. And we'll.
Hey, former President Obama actually was in a Spider-Man comic and is a giant nerd. So I mean, if Anthony Bourdain can get him for his show,
if Jerry Seinfeld could put him on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, I guess he could be on there.
There's hope.
But yeah, all right, I'll reach out to Barry and see what he's up to.
Hey, Barry, I know you're really busy now and everything with the Post being the president thing, but people really want to know what you think about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Oh, well, American, I think the Secret Empire tie-in was unnecessary.
Oh, I would love to think. No, I think he would. He would love Secret Empire. He'd be like, "Yup."
Yep. Yep, that's what I told everybody, but they wouldn't listen to me.
I told them.
I see a lot of myself in this young Sam Wilson. Yeah, man, it's hard, isn't it?
I thought he was gonna turn out to be Captain America at the end, but apparently they made him they made him back to Falcon. That's weird.
I thought he was gonna win. I mean, the new run sounds interesting. He's got a good writer from an HBO show. He's gonna be fighting Blackheart. It's all right, I guess.
Who doesn't like Mark Waid and Chris Samney? They're a power team. I think it's gonna be a great book. I don't know, but at the same time, I was really excited to see Sam Wilson keep up the Cap mantle.
They're a power team like me and Biden. When we get together, Mark Waid and Sammy. That's who I'd vote for.
Like me and Biden. All right.
Wait, Sammy, 2020.
Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody, and thanks for making this show possible. We couldn't do it without you. And of course, don't forget to come back every week for another episode of the Elseworlds Exchange, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.